Welcome back to SundayPips. In today's video, I'll be reviewing pairs for this week. CAD JPY weekly time frame had created this big blue candle showing strong momentum to the upside. I was looking for buys since most of the time frames were going up, meaning bullish. Weekly time frame was bullish, daily bullish. 4-hour was the only time frame that was bearish. Price was somewhere around here. On Sunday, I was waiting for a pullback into the zone, then a shift of structure on the lower time frame to then look for my buys. Let's go down to the lower time frames to see if the shift of structure ever happened right here. 1 hour, we were bullish, pulled back, shifted bearish to get to the zone. This was the lower high, and this down here was the lower low. Price went up, closed above the lower high, shifting bullish. But I did not enter the trade right here for two reasons. One, price was under this small zone, and whenever we are under it, we tend to go down. We go down, we go down, we go down, and there's probably more examples to the left. Second reason is that my entry bullish engulfing candle happened under the area of interest. This blue candle y'all see right here on the 4-hour closing above the red. But price did end up having the move, and luckily it pulled back for a second time, and this time it was above the zone, this small zone that I was talking about that tend to hold price down on the 1 hour. Same thing, once price makes it to the zone, I look for the shift of structure. Let's go down to the 1 hour to look for it. 1 hour don't look that clean. Let's go to the 30-minute. 30-minute, we were bullish, then we shifted bearish to get to the zone. This was the lower high, this down here was the lower low, went up, closed above the lower high, shifting bullish. Do I immediately enter after the shift of structure? No, I look for my entry, and what is that? A bullish engulfing candle. Where do I look for that? 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour. I start on the 1 hour. 1 hour created this, I think, called evening star pattern, but that's not a bullish engulfing candle, but I sometimes enter on this pattern too. 2 hour, beautiful, created the bullish engulfing candle, this blue candle right here, closing above the red, also closing I guess above this blue one too. Took the trade right there. Take profit was placed at this line because on the daily time frame, whenever price is around this line, it tends to go down. Whenever we're under it, it tends to go down. We tend to go down, goes down, goes down, wicked into it, went down, wicked into it, went down. Am I mad that price continued up after I closed the trade right here? No. I have take profits and I have a final take profit. This line right here was my final take profit. Once price makes it to my final take profit, I have to close the trade. If I continue holding after price already made it, I'm just being greedy, and being greedy in trading is not ideal. And I can even show you an example why you shouldn't be greedy. Let me look for an example just like that, but that played out a little different. Okay, right here. 4 hour went up, closed above the zone, had a pullback. Let's say you got your shift of structure right here. You enter, stop loss, maybe you place it somewhere around here. Take profit, you place it at this line because it's very well respected on the daily time frame. But you see price coming up very strong, you're like, oh, let me remove my take profit, and you remove it. As price goes up, you continue holding, you holding, you holding, you holding, you holding, and then boom, what just happened? You just turned a winning trade into a losing one, all because you were just being greedy. AUD CAD is another pair I had on my list. All the time frames are going down, weekly bearish, daily bearish, and 4 hour was also bearish. Price was down here on Sunday. I was waiting for a pullback into the zone, then a shift of structure on the lower time frames to then look for sells. There's only one thing I didn't like on this pair, and I mentioned it in the Sunday analysis video, and that was that whenever price is around this zone, it tends to pull back to it a lot before getting away from it. Happened right here, and also happened right here. And I also told you that price pulling back to the zone is bad because you might see something like this and think, oh, price is definitely going down to create a new 4 hour lower low. And it goes down for a little bit, you're happy, you're smiling, and then it just pulls back. Why did it pull back? Because that's just what it tends to do whenever it's around the zone. And I also mentioned that one of these pullbacks might take you out. And look at this. Maybe if you place your stop loss somewhere around here, you probably got wicked out. I was no longer interested in this pair after 4-hour shifted bullish. This was the lower high on the 4-hour, or this one right here. Don't really matter. Close above both. And this down here was the lower low. Price went up, close above the lower high on the 4-hour, shifting bullish. I was no longer interested after 4 hours shifted bullish, but you still had weekly and daily bearish, so I guess you could have still looked for yourselves. And let's see if we got the shift of structure on the 1 hour right here when 4-hour was still bearish and it made it to this, when it first made it to the zone. Okay, let's go to the 1 hour. 1 hour remained bullish throughout the whole move until 4 hours shifted bullish. This was the higher high on the 1 hour, and this down here was the higher low. Price went up, created this higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and higher high. It just remained bullish throughout this whole move up. It never actually even stopped for a little bit until price closed above the zone, and then that shift of structure happened up here, and this was no longer valid for two. This shift of structure up here was not valid for two reasons. One is that price is above this zone. Second, 4 hour is now bullish. See, I guess it's still valid since you still have weekly and daily bearish, but still price was above the zone. NZD JPY. I remember how I wanted to add this pair on my watch list because I believe that the next weekly candle might fill this wick. Well, look at this. Perfect. And what does fill the wick mean? Filling the wick just means that the next candle that forms is about the same height as this wick or even larger. Example right here. This candle is about the same height as the wick. Why didn't I add this pair on my watch list? Didn't add it because it had two problems. Mentioned them in the Sunday analysis video. First problem is that whenever price is under this line, the weekly structure point, it struggles to break above. Second problem is that whenever price is under this small zone you see right here, it struggles to break above. How is that a problem? What does that mean? That means if I were to enter a trade when price is under this zone, this small zone right here, it might just use this zone as resistance and go down because it struggles to break above. Or price do manage to break above and then goes up and then runs into the line, and like I told you, it also struggles to break above this line too, meaning it might use this as resistance and then go down, take me out. Price did actually struggle to break above both when we were at this line and the zone. Let's go down to the 1 hour. You can see it from there. Okay, 1 hour. This is where price was at on Sunday, under the small zone. As you can see, it struggled. It struggled to. Bro, what is happening right now? It struggled to break above the small zone for a few hours, but it did manage. Closed above, went up, and then ran into this line, and then right here also struggled, and then it pulled back. But at some point it did manage to break above though. Where was it at? Right here on the 4 hour, we closed above both the small zone and the line, and price got all the way up here, and then had a pullback, retested the small zone, and then had this move up. Let's see if we got a shift of structure on the lower time frames. Probably 1 hour. Yeah, perfect. Had a shift of structure. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Shifted bullish on the 1 hour, and we even got a bullish engulfing candle right here on the 1 hour. Could have entered right here, but if I was active, I would have probably not entered on this pair because I would have probably still doubted that this was gonna break above this line. But right here, it didn't even struggle. Created this blue candle on the 1 hour, closing above, and then it used the line, matter of fact, as support, and then took off. Next pair, GBP NZD. Bro, this pair just makes me wanna. Yeah, remember last week how I had this pair on my watch list? I was waiting for 4 hour to break under, retest, and then look for sales, but it never did that. Just continue messing around up here. I kind of lost hope that this will ever happen. That's why I didn't choose it. I didn't choose it. That's why I didn't add it on my watch list. But this week it did happen right here. Just broke under, retested, and had to move to the downside. And I didn't even have this pair on my watch list. Just perfect. Well, it is what it is. And that's it for this week. Like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you on Sunday if you want to know what pairs I'm gonna pick. Peace.